There's a moment almost everyone has had, but nobody posts about it. You open your banking app. There's a bill you didn't expect, a car repair, a medical bill, a surprise rent increase. The number on the bill and the number in your account do not match. And right there, your brain goes into panic mode. Who can I borrow from? Which card still has space? What can I delay without getting kicked out or cut off? If one unexpected bill right now would break your month, stay with me until the end of this video. In 2026, everybody is talking about investing, side hustles, passive income. That's great. But if you don't have an emergency fund, every little surprise becomes a crisis, and you end up making desperate decisions that hurt you later. Quick note before we dive in, I'm not your financial advisor, this is not custom advice. I'm sharing a framework you can adapt to your own situation. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build a $6,000 emergency fund, step by step, even if you're starting from zero and even if your money feels tight. By the time we're done, you'll have a clear plan you can screenshot, save, and steadily follow, paycheck by paycheck. And quick ask before we start, if this kind of practical money content is useful to you, subscribing helps this channel keep making it. Now let's get into it. Let's be honest about the current reality. Prices went up. Rent is heavy. Groceries feel more expensive almost every month. Gas, insurance, utilities, none of them are becoming friendly suddenly. And life still doesn't care that you're tired. Cars still break. People still get sick. Jobs still change. Family emergencies still show up at the worst possible time. When you don't have an emergency fund, those moments are brutal. Your options are usually, throw everything onto credit cards and watch your debt spiral. Borrow from friends or family and carry that heavy feeling with you. Pay late, collect fees, and damage your credit. Make fast decisions based on fear instead of thinking clearly. An emergency fund won't make you rich overnight. But it does something more important first, it turns "I'm completely exposed" into "I'm stressed, but I have a cushion." With a $6,000 emergency fund, a lot of scary questions become manageable. What if the car needs repairs? What if I have to miss work for a few weeks? What if I get a bill I didn't see coming? So let's talk about what $6,000 actually represents in your life. $6,000 sounds like a big, abstract number when you're staring at a near-zero balance. So instead of treating it like a random target, let's connect it to something specific, your essential monthly expenses. Think about your bare-bones month, the version where you're not buying extra things, you're just keeping your life running: housing, rent or mortgage. Utilities, electricity, water, maybe gas. Groceries. Basic transportation, car payment or transit, gas, insurance. Minimum payments on debts. Phone and internet. Add those up for your situation. If that number is around $2,000, then a 3-month emergency fund is about $6,000, and a 6-month emergency fund is about $12,000. If it's $1,800, 3 months is about $5,400. If it's $2,200, 3 months is about $6,600. In this video, I'm using $6,000 as an example, because for many people that's roughly 3 months of essentials. So when we say, build a $6,000 emergency fund, we're not talking about luxury money. We're talking about the amount that lets you keep the lights on, stay housed, and stay fed while you handle whatever life just threw at you. Now let's figure out how to move from no buffer to that number in a realistic way. Here's step 1. The first step is not save more. The first step is know what's actually happening with your money. Most people have a mental picture that's way off. They remember rent, maybe a few bills, and then everything else blends into, I guess I spent too much. For 1 month, just one, I'd do this. Open your main bank and credit card accounts. Look at one full recent month of transactions. Put each transaction into one of 3 buckets: essentials, non-essentials, and what even was that? Essentials, again, are the basics: housing, utilities, groceries, transportation, minimum debt, phone, internet. Non-essentials include eating out and takeout, coffee runs and snacks, bars and nights out, streaming and subscriptions, shopping, entertainment and hobbies. The "what even was that?" bucket matters a lot. This is where you'll find random fees, impulse buys, small recurring charges you forgot were active, and little transactions that add up without you ever noticing. Now add 3 totals: total income, total essential spending, and total non-essential plus random spending. Most people find out something surprising here. There is more money leaving every month on autopilot than they thought, and a big chunk of it is not delivering real happiness or security. Step 2 is where we actually do something about it. Here's where a lot of advice goes wrong. It tries to guilt you into cutting every little pleasure. Never buy coffee. Never eat out. Cancel everything fun. That might work for 3 days. It doesn't work for normal human beings living real lives. So instead, focus on leaks. Not joy. Leaks. From the non-essential plus. What was that? Totals. Pick 3 categories that quietly drain the most money without giving you consistent value back. For many people, those include multiple streaming services and subscriptions they barely use, eating out or ordering in several times a week without thinking, random online shopping when bored, tired, or stressed. Now ask yourself, if I just adjusted these 3 areas, how much could I realistically free up every month? Maybe you cancel 2 subscriptions and keep 1 favorite, swap 2 restaurant meals a week for home-cooked dinners, and set a hard monthly cap for random shopping. Suddenly, without going extreme, you might have $150, $200, even $250 available. You're not trying to become a monk. You're saying, I'm done paying so much for things that disappear in a few hours. I'd rather use this money to buy something that protects me for years. That something is your emergency fund. Next, we lock this into a system so it actually moves, and I'll also show you the one mistake that silently sabotages this plan for most people. This is the part that separates wishful thinking from real change. Let's use an example. Target emergency fund of $6,000 and a realistic freed-up amount of $250 a month. Do the simple math. 6,000 divided by 250 equals 24 months. So with $250 a month, you reach a $6,000 emergency fund in about 2 years. That might sound slow when you're stressed, but 2 years from now, you'll be older whether you save or not. Which version of you do you want to be? Here's how I'd turn this into a system instead of a hope. Open a separate savings account only for emergencies. Give it a serious name, like emergency fund or safety net. Set up an automatic transfer that happens every payday. This is critical. The emergency fund should be funded first, not with whatever is left at the end of the month. And here's that mistake I mentioned. It's the one that derails almost everyone, treating this account like extra money instead of a bill you owe yourself. The moment you start thinking, I'll transfer it later if there's anything left, the fund stops growing and nobody notices until months later. Automatic and first, every time. That's the whole trick. If you receive a bonus, tax refund, or random extra income, you can accelerate the process. But the heart of the plan is the consistent automatic transfer, not one-time big moves. Now you have the engine. Let's talk about where this money should live. The emergency fund has one main job: be there when life hits you. It's not supposed to be in some investment that can suddenly drop 20% the week you need it. So I'd keep it in a separate account that's easy to access in a real emergency, but a little annoying to access when you're just tempted. For many people, that means a standard savings account, or a high-yield savings account, if the rates and terms make sense for you. You're not racing for huge returns here. You're building security and clarity. The separation matters. When your emergency fund sits in the same account as your daily spending, your brain sees one big number and treats it like one pool. That's when little treats slowly chip away at your safety net. When it has its own account, with its own name, you see it as, this is for real problems. Not, this is for weekend plans. Quick question while we're here. Drop your target number in the comments. $3,000? $6,000? $10,000? Seeing what others are aiming for tends to be motivating, so I'll read through them. Now your emergency money is moving automatically every month and living in its own home. The next step is protecting the plan from all the small decisions that could break it. Even with a good system, there are two big threats: new recurring commitments you don't absolutely need, and using the emergency fund for things that aren't emergencies. While you're still building that 6,000, I'd follow two simple rules. Rule 1. No new long-term payments that make you more fragile. If something adds a monthly payment, a more expensive car, a payment plan phone, a bigger lease, a bundle of premium subscriptions, pause. Ask yourself, does this make my life safer, or does it make my life more fragile? If it's mainly about looking or feeling better right now, and your emergency fund is still small, you're usually trading long-term peace for short-term comfort. Rule 2. When you use the fund for a real emergency, your next mission is to refill it. The emergency fund is not a trophy you admire once and forget. It's a cycle. You build it, life hits you, you use it, you rebuild it. If the car breaks and you use $1,500, the fund did its job. After that, you go back to the same system to bring it back up. That's how the emergency fund stays alive instead of being a one-time achievement. Jump ahead for a moment. You didn't become a different person. You didn't suddenly start making six figures. You just followed the plan, saw where your money was really going, tightened a few leaks, and let an automatic transfer run month after month. One day, you open your emergency account and see $6,000. It might not feel spectacular to someone else, but to you, it's a completely different feeling then. There's nothing here. That weird noise from the car is annoying, not terrifying. A medical copay is stressful, but it doesn't push you into panic. A gap between jobs becomes tough, but not impossible. Instead of, if this happens, I'm finished, you're now at, if this happens, it will be rough, but I have backup. And with that backup, your decisions change too. You're less likely to say yes to toxic situations out of pure financial fear. Whatever your number ends up being, 3,000, 6,000, 10,000, ask yourself honestly, if I had this saved and ready today, how would my life feel different? Once the goal stops being some dollars in an account and becomes that feeling, the plan clicks into place. Once your emergency fund exists, even partly, whole new questions become possible. How to invest your first $1,000, how to pay off high-interest debt faster, how to build a budget that supports your goals instead of suffocating you. Without a safety net, those questions feel dangerous. With one, they feel like a path. And the process of building this fund is training. You've already proven you can look at your money honestly, make targeted changes instead of extreme ones, and let a system do the work for you. The same skills you'll use later for investing and debt payoff. You're not just learning to survive emergencies. You're learning to manage money in a way that works in real life. If that "what's next" part interests you, I've got a video breaking down exactly where your first dollars should go after this fund is full, worth watching once you're here. Let's go back to that first image, the screen, the unexpected bill, the sinking feeling. You may not be able to control when life throws those moments at you. But you do get to choose whether they hit you when you're empty, or hit you when you've built a cushion. A $6,000 emergency fund won't solve every problem. But it turns, I'm completely exposed, into, I have room to figure this out. You've seen the steps, understand what the 6,000 really represents, see your true money picture, cut leaks instead of joy, automate the savings, keep the money separate and safe, and protect the plan while it grows. If this framework makes sense to you, don't wait for the perfect moment. Pick your number, decide what you can realistically move each month, and set up that first automatic transfer. And if you want more videos like this, real frameworks, no fluff, hit subscribe, it genuinely helps the channel. Drop your emergency fund number in the comments if you haven't already. Let every future emergency meet a version of you who's ready, not a version of you who's helpless.